Now it's time for Brad's Tech and Tone Tips.
Hey, this is Philip Sace, and you are watching the 5150 Show with Brad and Andrew. All right.
who's that bloke who reckons it's only Andrew and Brad? Who's he? Does he never watch this channel? Off with his head. You wait till I see him. It's going to be finger pointing and stuff.
Yeah. TikTok, It's time to rock.
Yeah.
How soon I was forgotten.
Yeah, 5 minutes. It wasn't gone 5 minutes, gone forever.
Who?
I actually think I did a pretty good job remembering tagging most of the people that I'm in contact with anyway on social media on a couple of posts that we did to celebrate whatever we're doing here today, Brad. So thank you for posting that, bro.
No. It's an achievement. You know, we're all part of it, including the people in the chat. So it's worth celebrating, Andrew and Simon. So congratulations to both you fine gentlemen, and 1,000 episodes today. And that means, Andrew, you've done 1,000 episodes.
Yeah.
Wow. I know. He's famous.
How committed. How committed.
He should be, yeah.
Yeah. I never thought about it like that, bro. So yeah. Wow.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, well done.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah,
1,000 videos.
Well done to everyone involved, including the people that have been on the channel at one time or another, whether it was part co-hosting, part guest co-hosting, or even just visiting us during our Christmas special and our Eddie Van Halen specials and all that stuff that we do, Andrew and Simon.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. And thank you, Simon, too, because I noticed you did a post as well on your social media. So thank you, Simon, for celebrating that as well.
I did. Well, I don't, I think I like sort of celebrating these milestones and things. We've got, over over 1.6 million views as well. So we're cruising towards 2 million views, and all those shorts that you do, Andrew, they really add up on the viewing front. They absolutely do. But yeah. I don't know what the first million took us about 10 years, but the second million's going to take us about a year, I think. I don't think it's that long ago that we were celebrating a million views. So it's it's amazing. Sit here every week, rattle on about stuff, and people watch, which is humbling and pleasing.
It's a big achievement, gentlemen. So well done. Yeah, nearly
Well done,
12,000 subscribers and 1,000 views, 1,000 episodes or shows, and 1.5 million views. Wow.
Yeah. And as you said, Brad, we've got to, thank. We don't want to spend too long because we've got a show to do, folks. But we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the people that and a lot of the people who've been with us for a long, long time are here in the chat now for sharing our links, supporting us here when we've gone live on these shows and other shows that we've done. As you've said, Brad, former co-hosts that have been on here, Steve Anderson, Kurt, the guests that we've had come on, Chris Hunter, Simon Hosford there for a while, Jerry and Jason Ver from your part of the world, bro. John ZD351, who's in here. Holly Hunter, remember her? Holly, she was a regular here for a long time until that sort of fell through.
Yep. No, but it's always humbling when you look at the numbers and you think, wow.
Yeah, and all those and all those crazy Americans, John Conklin and Alan Garver and Jim Bonvas and all those guys who come on, and did the 5150 show with you, Andrew, particularly. Hats off to them as well.
Yeah, 100%. There's Paul Gibson, Mikey Mojo, big
Brody.
Brody, Michael also.
Michael, absolutely. It's a long list, isn't it? I think that's really good, actually. I think that to me it's really pleasing that lots of people have felt comfortable enough to come on, talk about their passion, talk about what they like, and with amazing intelligence and stuff. It's it's fantastic, and I think our open door policy on those things, I think that works really well. Anybody wants to come on, talk about an album. We've had Hugh Caldwell and Jim quite a lot as well. It's fantastic
absolutely.
that everyone hopefully feels comfortable enough to come on and do an album, and the format is it's very clear, isn't it? How we do it, it's quite clear. The scoring is as crystal clear as you could ever have, isn't it?
Clear as mud.
1 to 10. Brad score, Hugh score. What could be simpler?
Hey, it's clear as mud, Simon.
Clear as mud. Yes.
No, good point, Simon. And we should do a special shout out to John and Jim because they are in the chat. They are here and they've been on a lot of shows with us. So and they've been filling in the hot seat and adding a little bit of curry to the flavor on some of the albums that we've done as well. So
Well, and the people in the chat right now, there's a fair few people there that are regulars, including my mum there. So I don't know if you want to do a bit of a shout out there, Simon, as you normally do to everyone in the chat.
Yeah, well, Helena O'Hara, who's requested this album, so no pressure. She says lots of Brad scores today, I think. No pressure there. So John as well, and Gret Zeppelin as well. Long time long time watcher. Great, we keep you up. Adam Crofts as well. Adam, nice to see you.
Hey, Adam.
In the chat.
Hey, Alan.
Ellen, of course, Ellen, who's here every week supporting us.
Hey,
and,
Alan.
doing the scores. It's
Yeah.
you know, it's really nice when people do that. It's fantastic. So welcome everyone in the chat. We have 11 watching, so some secret watchers.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know
there's
who
a
you
few-
are.
Few lurkers.
Few lurkers. That's all right. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
Those
yeah.
are the spies.
yeah,
We don't mind. We don't mind the lurkers anyway. Really,
No.
they're the ones that help us.
Yeah.
Help the algorithms. If you know what I mean.
I don't think the algorithm and us have any. We're not in the same field, really, are we?
No.
The algorithm's
No.
over there doing what it does, and we're in here just going yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does make me laugh, that stuff about the algorithm, and you think, I'm not sure what the algorithm makes of us. I don't think it makes anything of us. It runs away.
From
I don't know how it works either. I think classifying your videos correctly. If you guys remember, we were on general entertainment, and I went through and reclassified. So everything that we do now is on specifically music, because the Rick Beato channel as a guide
Music.
is music. So so we didn't do that right at the start, and we've learned a lot of things along the line. For years we never asked people to subscribe, and we never asked people to share our subscription links on social media either. So
No, now we do a bit, and well, I think it's all right. But I think in a sense, one of the joys of YouTube is that a channel of our size, we're not looking, Mr. Walton is living great luxury off the back of the YouTube money he gets, or not. Whereas Brad and I are waiting for just any crumbs that come our way, aren't we, Brad? Any handouts. But because we're not trying to make a living at it, because we're not trying to, make something that we just do what we do. We have a show. This is what we do, and I think that us and millions of other people who just get on YouTube is a great thing, and it's a very equalizing thing. Anybody can go on, and anybody can do something. If you've got an idea, you can do it. The algorithmic connection, no idea, as Andrew said, but I think it's like a lot of things, Brad, and you're the exception to this, but I used to say a lot, if you think you're gonna make a living playing in bands, think again. It really isn't gonna happen, is it?
Yeah.
I think it's the same with YouTube, isn't it? If you think you're gonna make a living at it, you might get really good at it, but if you think you're gonna do it, think again, because not very likely to happen.
I think, to be fair, you got to be from the channels that I follow that are doing reasonably well are 150 to 160,000 K plus. And are supported and are sponsored. But I learned something interesting on Wednesday when I was doing a show with Carl. We were talking about reaction videos, and I don't watch them, guys. I've never watched them. I know what they are because they come up in my feed, because if you like, for example, AC/DC, when we do this show, and because we've got tags, tomorrow morning will be a reaction video for an AC/DC album, Brad. And I had no idea, but Carl was telling me that there's this black American couple, African American couple in the States who have had their channel demonetized, but they get 8 million views.
Yeah. They've had their channel demonetized, have they?
Yeah, apparently, according to Carl. I don't know who the channel is. But he was saying that within days they'll get 8 million views of people watching them react to AC/DC's album.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Isn't it? Unreal.
Yeah. It's a funny sort of thing, that, isn't it? Watching other people react to something to see. Well, I guess it's a connection thing, isn't it? you want them to react in the same way that you've reacted to it or something.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
so what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you guys a heads up here. I'm going to do a bit of an
We're going
experiment.
to do a reaction.
No, but I'm going to advertise some videos that we've done as reaction videos, and
Oh, right, okay.
and just see what happens. Instead of yeah, I'm being serious. Instead of calling them ranking the tracks, reaction.
Ready?
Hey.
1, 2, 3, react.
Hey, our
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm practice your shocked face horror.
yeah.
Actually, yeah, well, we've done that before a couple of times on some videos, so I might get you boys to do that for me. Just
Okay.
Just give me your most
Well, you can flip
horrified,
it out.
your most horrible, like in the morning, like, look, Brad.
Yeah, there's now for me.
Yeah. But I'm going to do that as an experiment. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Why
Sounds
not?
good.
We'll probably just get demonetized.
Yeah.
The millions that roll in.
Oh yeah. I'm still waiting to get enough money to go buy a beautiful Les Paul Flying V, Simon.
Ah, the dream. Quite literally the dream.
Hey, or a
Carina
335,
Flying V.
or a beautiful
Yeah.
335 in cherry red.
One day.
or black, or
Oh, it's got to be Carina. It's got to be the Carina Wood one, definitely.
Yeah.
When
Anyway,
when the
gentlemen,
riches from Mr. Walton spill down to our level, Brad, we straight round the guitar shop.
Yeah, but I could talk about guitars and buying new guitars all day, gentlemen, but we do have a show to get done, so you guys are
Yes.
keen to get started on this, or you want to?
Mr. Walton's got a dog to walk.
Well, that's it too.
The channel dog, you see.
He's got to walk the mascot. He's got to walk the
Yeah.
channel mascot before
See,
it gets too late.
That pedal show have got a dog. So have we. Ha ha. Our dog's better than yours.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So
I'll
guys,
clip that and send it to BB.
we're doing an album by the band AC/DC called Back in Black, and Helena requested we do this one a long time ago, and Andrew, in his wisdom, yelled out, "Yes, we'll do that for you, and we'll do that next week," and Brad's presenting it, and I just went, "Yay!" because I'm happy about that.
Volunteered, yes.
I'm more than happy with this one because it is a classic record, and I think it's well and truly overdue. That we do this one, and I remember specifically getting this album for the very first time and being completely blown away at how polished and how clean it was, but still captured that rawness and depth that AC/DC had from previous records. So, gentlemen, I don't know if you remember the first time you ever listened to this album as an entirety, but I'm guessing, Andrew, you've probably been listening to this for a very long time, considering you're wearing an AC/DC t-shirt. How about yourself, Simon? You've been listening to this one for a while, or just a few?
Well, no, I have I think quite a fun story. I was off on some other musical journey in 1980 when it came out. The 80s were I was at university and stuff. I worked in a record shop then, but and I didn't hear it then particularly that I remember, and it kind of passed me by until about early 2000s, and Ian, one of the other guitar players in the band I was in, Steelers, he gave it to me on cassette, right? He said, "Here, and so I was driving up the motorway, put it on, probably the classic way to listen to it, to be honest, is get in a car, drive up the road, and put it on, and was completely blown away by it. As it has a real has a real thing to it, and
Yeah.
so I have a CD of it over there as well. But yeah, that was my first experience of listening to it, and but as I say, not to the early 2000s was, Ian lent it to me, so I thought, yeah, put it on while I'm doing a journey somewhere.
Yeah. How about
In the days
yourself
when
there?
cars still had cassettes and
Yes.
steam.
Yeah. How about yourself, Andrew? What was your first introduction to this? You're obviously a pretty big AC/DC fan. So
Yeah, in 1980, I knew it came out because they were advertising it, but I was never an AC/DC fan. I was listening to other stuff, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Van Halen, Brad. So I never really got into AC/DC until 1984, when a friend of mine loaned me the album, and I remember taking it home and actually listening to it. I was familiar with a couple of songs because by then you'd gone to a couple of parties, but I remember taking it home and listening to it and being blown away by it, and making a cassette copy like Simon was talking about. And I'm not going to say that I'm a hardcore AC/DC fan, guys, but this album, in my opinion, is their best album. And one of the great things that I like about being an AC/DC fan and meeting AC/DC fans is you never get berated, Brad and Simon, by people who think that albums with Bon Scott are better than Back in Black. You never get any shit from them, because I think 99% of them, Brad and Simon, realize that this album with the singer Brian did a great thing with the band that they loved, so, and they celebrate that, Brad, and you being an Aussie would probably understand that probably more than us, and Helene herself too, being in Melbourne, would understand that it was more of a celebration, I think.
Yeah. Well, for me, I mean, this album does, resonate very strongly with me, being an Aussie. And,
Cool.
I grew up listening to the radio, Triple M here in FM radio, and AC/DC is almost a staple on that channel. It's almost a staple. I got into AC/DC in the 90s, when I started to really get into music and playing guitar, and I got into AC/DC a bit later other than the fact I enjoyed what I heard on the radio and stuff like that. But I saw AC/DC a couple of times live in concert. I know they're in Melbourne at the moment, and I encourage everyone to go watch them, because I'm pretty sure it might be their last time. I'm not getting there because sometimes you've just got to pull the pin on the amount of tickets you're buying these days because they're so bloody expensive. But I would have loved to have seen them again. But I have seen them a few times, and each time it's been mind-blowingly good, loud, powerful, and just a lot of energy. And this record does have a lot of energy. And Andrew, I want to sort of touch on what you said, how the band, went through a turbulent time of change, and Brian came onto the scene. And the wonderful thing about AC/DC fans is they embraced Brian and they went forward with it, as opposed to other acts that we have, spoken quite heavily about on this channel. And I think that's the beauty of this band. They're following, their fan base are just AC/DC nuts. It doesn't matter who's in the band; they just love AC/DC, and that's a wonderful thing. It's like it's like a badge that you wear about your favorite act, and you're prepared to accept change and just get on with it because you love the music so much. So for me, getting into this album, and the first time I listened to this album from start to finish was a mind-blowing experience. It just altered my thinking of AC/DC. I thought, this album doesn't give you time to breathe. It's just constant. It's phenomenal. And Simon, you said you put it on in the car. Well, this is the sort of album that I would put on, back in the 90s when I was driving to a gig or something like that. I put this album on to rev me up because it had that driving force behind it. I think it's an absolute epic album, and the Bon Scott era as well. I'm a big fan of Bon Scott. How could you not be? But big fan of Brian as well, and I think how they even still to this day, acknowledge and respect Bon Scott as well. They still do his songs, they still do them respectfully, and Brian does a pretty good job at doing as well as he can, respecting what Bon Scott actually did for the band as well. So
100%.
in saying that, gentlemen, if there's nothing that I've missed there, I'll get into the presentation of the album very quickly. If you guys have got anything else you want to add to that before I deep dive the album, and then we'll do the rankings. What do you think?
100%.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Well, basically the album we're doing today, AC/DC's Back in Black, and I've written here the album that rose from tragedy, the record that rebuilt a broken band. This is the beast of an album that went on to sell 50 million copies worldwide, becoming the biggest selling hard rock album of all time. Now that's phenomenal accolade for a band with a new singer, guys. Let's be honest, like that's full on. It isn't just a celebration of riffs and attitude. It's a story of resilience, chaos, tropical storms, tax loopholes, fishing spears, and protection. Perfectly tuned 1-ton church bells, and a producer who demanded absolute perfection. And I think they well and truly got that with this record. So after just a little backstory so people understand what we're talking about, a new singer, after the success of Highway to Hell, AC/DC were, they were just starting to break globally with Highway to Hell. And out of nowhere, obviously tragedy struck and Bon Scott died on February 19, 1980, which is a very sad time for the band and obviously for Bon Scott's family as well. The band were destroyed. They even considered ending, but Bon Scott's family told them, he would have wanted them to continue. So
100%.
in honoring that, they decided to do that. So they started demoing stuff for, well, they were demoing stuff for a new album with Bon Scott, but the only contribution he had, according to the band, was he actually played drums. So he played drums on a few early demos. I don't think there was any lyrical contribution there that I'm aware of. But any huge AC/DC fan that can prove that wrong, please, put that in the comments and let us know. But I'm pretty sure Bon Scott had no contribution lyrically to this album.
No.
They recorded in the Bahamas. The band scheduled 3 weeks at Easy High Studios in London, but suddenly an opening appeared at Compass Point in the Bahamas. The reason they decided to record in the Bahamas is because the UK studios were usually booked to, for huge tax advantages as well. There's big reasons behind that. Matt Lung was available, who was their producer. The Bahamas was anything but paradise, though. There was tropical storms, blackouts, missing band equipment held in customs, concrete dorm-style rooms, terrifying housekeeper who handed them a 6-foot fishing spear for the night, saying it was for protection. Brian Johnson, who's comparing it from Newcastle, where he's from, to a pirate film, he said it was madness. But they made history in the Bahamas there. Mutt Lang, who was the perfectionist, and he demanded perfection, especially from Brian Johnson. He used to, say, do it again. You held that note too long. Do it again. There's no room for breath there. Do it again. Even the breaths have to be in the right places. And he refused to allow anything to sound impossible. And this is why Back in Black obviously sounds cleaner, tighter, and punchier and more polished than any AC/DC album before it. There's a few funny things here. A few takes were ruined because a crab wandered across the studio floor and it was clicking its claws, which is pretty funny. The famous bell sound from Hell's Bells, the first tried recording it at a local church with the bell there, but every strike triggered a massive flock of birds, ruining the tapes. They had found a cast. They had found they had a foundry cast and a custom bell. It was perfectly tuned for the song, and they recorded via Ronnie Lane's mobile studio. I think all these quirks give its album its unique identity. With my research, I looked up a few things gear wise. I couldn't find a lot of pictures and that, but Angus Young, obviously Gibson SG standard. I think it's a late 60s or early 70s SG he used. Super Lead Marshall 59 100 watt 4x12 cabs, and a Schaefer Vega wireless system, which is a massive part of his tone.
Famously.
And his tone is very bright, biting. There's a bit of compression and very aggressive. There's no pedals, no effects, just pure hands and amplifiers. Malcolm Young pretty much used his 63 Gretsch Jet Firebird, nicknamed the Beast. Filtertron bridge pickup, Marshall Super Bass 100, and a 4x12 Marshall cab. Dry, tight, mid-range punch, and in my opinion, the real anchor of the entire record is Malcolm Young's guitar sound. Cliff Williams on bass used a Music Man Stingray, which he was famously used previously. Ampeg SVT with 8x10 cabinet. Real low mid growl, almost zero movement, pure pocket sort of material for recording. And Phil Rudd used a Ludwig maple kit, pace cymbals, minimal mics, minimal compression, dry embellished, and very disciplined drummer. Brian Johnson, he probably used Newman U67, U87 mics, but Mutt Lang, all these names. Mutt Lang pushed take after take with him. So there's pure vocal distortion, not forced growl, a very raspy, laser-focused, almost volcanic sounding vocal. And unless I've missed anything, gentlemen, I'm happy to go on to the track by track analysis, the track rankings. Anything there you want to add?
Before you go on, Helene's question: do you think they would have been as successful with Bon Scott as they were?
Oh, I'm assuming they would have, but that's I mean, I think they were on the path to success with Hell's Bells. Sorry,
Highway to Hell.
Highway to Hell. Too many names and numbers and things in my head at the moment. And but yeah, with Hell's Bells, Highway to Hell.
Which is one of their best songs, isn't it, Brad? And it would have been, would not have been out of place on this record. I think they would have had roaring success, whether it's Bon Scott or Brian Johnson. To be honest, with this album,
I think they're definitely on the verge of success, breaking through anyway with their previous album with Bon Scott. And I think, just my opinion, I think they would have continued that with Bon Scott as well, because people loved Bon Scott and his vocal and what he was doing. And he was a great vocalist and a real true frontman. He was really good at what he did. So I think to answer that, but that's just my opinion. People might sort of say no, but I think Brian brought something quite unique to the band as well. So, that being said, so we'll go do our track rankings, gentlemen. First track, Hell's Bells. What can I say about this? The tolling bells set the mood. There's a mournful sort of but defiant sort of sound going on there from the minute the bells start. When the band drops in, it's heavy without distortion, and it's magic, in my opinion. Angus plays very wide interval sort of stuff going on there with the riff. there's even some open string droningness going on, giving that sort of deep, I guess, mourning sort of sound, like as if someone was mourning something. There's got a marching feel to it as well. Brian Johnson, his entrance to the song is like a man, being shot out of a cannon. He's gritty, he's powerful. He sounds like he's almost in pain in the best way possible. I think the guitars in this track, and this is without repeating myself every song, I think this is pretty much an example of how well the guitars chime together. Great example in this song of the chemistry between Malcolm and Angus. Their chemistry is highlighted in every single song on this record. Angus has got that SG into Marshall. There's big room reverb from the studio, but not the amp. The riff is palm muted. It's never choked though. There's a lot going on there. The solo is classic Angus. He features his very fast vibrato and singing like melody. He's very good at doing solos that you can almost sing along, and that's one of his main characteristics, as well as being a little bit of a freak and doing the blowfly really well on the ground, spinning around and around with the guitar. So yeah, Phil Rudd is a wall of sound, basically. Simple 4/4. There's no embellishments. Cliff mirrors the root notes on the bass, and he's pushing the chords forward. But vocally, Brian Johnson's phrasing is dramatic, slightly behind the beat, and he screams into the climax. They're insanely good vocals on this song and throughout the whole album. I think this song sets the tone for the whole record. It's dark, it's powerful, it's unstoppable. I can't really sort of give it anything but 100 out of 10 and never a skip, guys. So I think I hand it over to you, Simon.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, talk a lot on here about setting the tone, and I think this sets the tone. I mean, I think that it's the bell at the beginning. Ask not for whom the bell tolls; it tolls for thee. That's a remembrance of Bon Scott. That's that funereal bell, definitely. Nodding to Bon straight away. Acknowledging his death and stuff, and I think that's pretty cool. And then
good point.
But what's interesting is that they don't. And I think any other band would have done it about twice the speed of this. But it's got that kind of held back. It's not fast, is it? It's got like almost funereal tempo at the beginning. That and they. I love the fact they come in on the sort of with the bell. They come in on the 4-and, which is such an AC/DC thing to do. Coming on the 3-and or whatever. So they come in on the 4-and. With the cymbals. But as you said, Brad, it's pretty much a pretty straightforward thing, isn't it? Verse, chorus, verse, chorus. That's how you set it up. The drums, incredibly primal, just keeping the beat. There's not many fills. There's not any flash drumming. And yet, somehow, just that ability to nail down that beat in that way is kind of unique. It's... I don't think of other bands doing that at all. There's always flourishes, and whereas Phil Rudd is absolutely, nailed down and stick to the pace, stick to the
on all songs.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But particularly, I notice it with this, and again, it's like 5-minute song. It whistles past, doesn't it? And got 2 minutes of bell at the beginning, but this is one way of elongating your tracks, is to put a bell on the front. But it's tight, it's lean, as you say, Brad. The two guitars mesh into one thing. It's quite difficult to see. Yeah, they are. John ZD351 says, famous for playing with perfect simplicity. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you hit a tom on that song. Phil replied, "Didn't need to." It's
No.
I don't know, but you know, but it's just him, isn't it? You know, and he absolutely nails it down, and you know, and makes. It's one of the things that makes these songs unique sounding. Is that ostensibly very, very plain drumming, very plain bass playing. You know, it just holds it down, doesn't it? The bottom end, it's not playing around. There's no flashy runs. There's no, it's literally just keeping that bottom end absolutely nailed down tight for the rhythm, and and with Malcolm as well. The three of them, and then letting Angus get on with it really, and Brian. So, it's instantly recognizable. One of their biggest songs ever. I think certainly they've used it to open concerts and things. I think that they opened it with it at River Plate. If you've never seen AC/DC at the River Plate, go and watch it. It's absolutely extraordinary. 120,000 people jumping up and down like whirling dirties. Extraordinary. But it's just, as you said, tight solo. He doesn't mess about, Angus, does he? And we get into some of that later. But I agree, Brad. 100 out of 10. Hugh score 8,000 out of 10. Take your pick. But it's a complete rock classic. Probably one of their best songs. Easily one of their best songs, and all-time rock classic. You have to give it a Hugh score. Has to be, or a Brad score, or whatever. It's right up there.
Off the record.
Yes. He's gone to sleep.
Oh, no,
Walton.
Sorry. I didn't want to interrupt. You see, don't want to interrupt anybody on our 1000th show.
No. Interrupt away.
And everyone else is agreeing with you too with those scores, guys. In the chat, Helene's given it a 10 out of 10. So has Alan. What's John given it? John hasn't given it a score, but look, it's one of the greatest. Alan's called it a great start to the album. I'm going to say it's probably the perfect start to the album. It's a song that's been played on radio here for years, Brad and Simon, and I never get sick of it. You described it, Simon, as they could have played it a lot faster, but it's almost like it's a funeral procession march.
Yeah.
And that's bordering on a lot of influences, Brad, from Black Sabbath as well. The bells certainly add to the melancholy of it, and it's a tribute, as you guys said. There's a few songs here that are directly tributes to Bon Scott. Yep. And this is definitely one of those songs. That opening riff is just incredible. You guys have already mentioned it, the power, the drive, but I'm going to also add one thing too, that it's got groove. It's got a deep groove, and the whole album just continues with that groove. And Simon, I'm glad that you mentioned the bass player and the drums, because it's again further proof that you don't need to do a lot of flourishes and fills and hi-hats, Brad, and tom rolls, and rock and roll. When you've got a powerful rhythm section and a lead rhythm guitar player and a lead guitarist, that's where your diversity and your tones are going to come from. But one of the reasons why this band is so powerful is because of that rhythm section, and it just blows me away. And we're going to probably be talking about this on every single track, and I look forward to that. But, it's the perfect intro to a song, the perfect song to an album. That's perfect. And I, too, have given this a Hugh score. Simon, it's not 8,000. It's not 8. It's 8 million.
Is it 8 million? Oh, hey, sorry, Hugh. Apologies.
Yes.
I've underscored it. 8 million. I thought it was 8,000. Are you sure?
No, it's 8 million. Yeah. 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 I, yeah. It's not a miserable, measly Brad score, Brad.
That's not nice.
No.
They got that started already. Track 1. Shots fired.
Yep.
And Adam's correct. It gives him goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Incredible.
one of those songs, you know, and when you're listening to it when you're a young guy, and old farts today, it's just powerful. Brad.
Well, we go from one absolutely cracking song to the next on this album. Shoot to Thrill is track 2.
Woo.
And wow, what a song. It's AC/DC at maximum overdrive. You know what I mean? Swagger. You know, it's got everything in this one. The verse, it rides tight. I mean, that intro that leaves you hanging when it comes in. It's just like, it's tough. Yeah, you know you're in for a ride. It's great. Malcolm is doing a lot of work in this song, probably more than what most people realize. He's like a human metronome. I think he sort of starts this song off at the absolute perfect tempo. And, there's a lot going on guitar-wise in this song. The breakdown section is genius. There's a lot of tension building. He explodes into Angus's, one of his most melodic solos on the album, and it's a great solo.
Good point.
The guitars, I'll go back to that. Malcolm uses that quick sort of downstroke thing. It's almost like a punk technique, but it's very tight. And Angus, he sort of plays off that as well. Angus has got, a very blues phrasing solo here. He's got that rock aggression in his rhythm playing as well. And he adds a little bit of fire to Malcolm's playing. But their rhythm playing when they're playing together, the same thing, is so tight, Simon. It's like they're one person, and the dissonance between their guitars really stands out. You can really hear the Gretsch, and you can really hear the SG. It's fantastic. Phil Rudd is playing that sort of galloping feel to this one effortlessly. Cliff is obviously the heartbeat of the rhythm section. Brian Johnson is fiery, he's rhythmic, he's confident, he's right in the pocket of this song. He's really giving a phenomenal vocal performance. It's pure adrenaline, this song. It's got that pacing feel. It's a perfect arrangement for a song as well. This is the sort of song that, would get you a speeding ticket if you're driving to it, in my opinion. You think you're in the Dukes of Hazzard movie or something, ready to, take off and launch over a jump or something. It's phenomenal. This one, I'm going to give it a Hugh score or a Brad score, whatever you like. I think it's my favorite song on the album. And I think, second track in, the first one, you've hit everyone around the ankles. Now you've got everyone under the ribs with this song. I'll give it 100 out of 10, guys. Never skip, Simon.
Yeah. It's interesting that you sang it. The riff is pretty similar to the closing one of Hell's Bells, isn't it? So I don't know whether I put money on Mutt Lang going, we're going to go from that one to that one because it's got there's a continuity thing there between the two riffs, just that coming in, then that feedback, and then you've got the drums coming as well with the bass and then you've got the second guitar that plays the other half. So definitely the two halves, the young brothers playing the two halves of it, which is what they do, and I think they do it a lot on this album. The thing I noticed is that, and I get more confident about this as I go through, but I think on this one, like lots of other songs, they do a verse, they do a chorus, then they do like a sort of little interverse section, but they only do it once. They only do it after the first verse, and I started to notice it after. You go, they're doing that again. It seems to be like this little one of the key things they do is they play this after the first chorus. They play this little bit. They don't do it again. They just do it at once there.
Yep.
I also started to notice as well on this that Angus does he does like 4-bar sections to his solos. So all his solos are like 4-bar. So he'll do a 4-bar section down here, and then he'll do a 4-bar section in there, and then but they seem to be 4-bar sections. That's how he builds them up, which is great. And he, as you say, he has a great sort of bluesy kind of almost rock and roll as well, kind of sort of pentatonic solos that he does that perfectly fit the songs, tight, focused, melodic, organized. Clearly he's worked them out and what he's going to do. And on this track, they have that kind of. He starts off with a solo intro, then he has like a rhythmic bit of the solo, and then he has like a sort of true solo bit, and there's 4-bar sections, and then at the end, they have the drop down, which is another one of the key things they use on here. And they have the two guitar parts. They have the 2 guitars playing, and kind of the soloing against the voice at the end. And again, I think we're going to see that's a bit of a signature on this album, where at the end Brian Johnson is singing choruses, and Angus is giving it of his best on the solo front. It's another Brad score, isn't it? 2 fantastic opening tracks. Does what it's supposed to. Brad score from me, clearly never a skip. Andrew.
Oh, yeah, there's no skips on this album, mate. None at all. Angus has always been unashamedly a Chuck Berry disciple and has never failed to say so. 100%. There's about 3 or 4 in-depth interviews on YouTube where he talks about that, and he's sitting there drinking his tea, talking about it. So good point, John ZD351. Look, Brian's vocals are amazing on this track, and he owns this album, doesn't he? How do you describe his vocals? Is it a falsetto?
It's a nasal thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
because it's like a screech. It's not necessarily falsetto, but he is using the top end of his voice a lot. So maybe he slips into like a falsetto, but he's got that vocal range that can get quite high, like other singers can. That's quite unique, but he has got a low voice as well, so he's got quite a range. But he would be using some of his falsetto right up the top there, Andrew, to answer your question, right up the top.
Yeah, he was advised to by Mutt to, from what I understand, to try that vocal on this recording, because if you go and check out those previous bands that he was in on YouTube, you'll see him singing quite low, kind of a baritone, and it freaked me out actually when I saw those videos years ago, thinking, wow, this is Brian, because you associate him, in my mind, this album, with that that kind of falsetto that he's got, and he injects it so well on this album. And he definitely gives it its razor's edge, if you know what I mean. That 320 breakdown on the album at that 320 mark gives you a chance to hear that brilliant drum tone, guys, because the guitar's quiet, the volume comes down.
Yep.
And you can just hear that incredible drum tone. And I think for me, again, that's the the power of the album, isn't it? And then it comes back up again with the vocals. Just an incredible performance, Brad. You mentioned it being one of your favorite songs. The lyrics are really, really cool. There's lots of great lyrics on this album. Shoot to thrill, way to kill. Too many women, too many pills. Wow, it's just, yeah. It's just incredible. I love it too, guys. I've given this a Brad score, and it's definitely Simon, as you said. Never a skip.
Yeah. It's funny, what What Do You Do for Your Money, Honey? There's the next track, and it's funny you mentioned the formula that they use, Simon, in the previous song, because I've actually mentioned it here. By the third song in, you can see they're following the formula that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what they sort of did, and that was the the basis of every song they ever did, is just keep it the same, almost just new song, keep it the same way, keep going, don't try and reinvent the wheel, it's already invented, let's just keep it going. And this What Do You Do for Your Money, Honey? It's a classic AC/DC riff, it's got that greasy, tight attitude to it. The chorus hits hard. It's got that sort of Malcolm and Cliff thing going on. That the Malcolm and Cliff were very tight when Angus is off doing his thing here. Angus's tone is extra bright on this one. I think a little bit brighter in EQ than other songs on the album. I think it might have to do with mic placement more than EQ of the album, the amp though. The solo is rude and fast. It's very blues driven solo. The bass and the drums, I mean, I put them down as one thing because they are so tight. Phil's hi-hat work cuts through the mix beautifully, and the bass is straight. There's eighth notes, and they're perfectly punching you right in the ribs where AC/DC like to hit you. And I think it's a killer track. The vocal attack on this song is right in the pocket with the other previous two songs. He's really giving it somewhere it needs it, but he's singing a little bit more in this one from the gut. You can really feel like he's singing from the gut. But I did mention like I said earlier, the formula thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just keep going with that formula. And that's what AC/DC did best their whole career up until this point even. I had to give this one 10 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. Simon.
You got it.
Yes, it's you have the two guitars play against one another at the beginning, absolutely sort of one off against the other. As you've said, that kind of brisk, straight drum beat, just a really steady bass, and that Malcolm Young doing the Ramones thing, isn't it? All downstrokes on the guitar. Again, it has the verse and the chant chorus, and then that solo guitar interlude that leads into the next verse. Again, they only do it once after the first verse. I didn't make a note of it, but I certainly started to notice that in the solos you've got that kind of chant. In the chorus you've got that chanted chorus vocals, backing vocals. It's very backing up what Brian's doing, very much to bolster the chorus. Again, as you've said, tight melodic, solo keeps it, but it's only 3.5 minutes long, this song. So, and I'd say off the back of that, and I presume this is Lang as much as anybody else, that there's a very much a kind of pop rock punch to these. Yes, all killer, no filler. Exactly, Quentin. Good morning. Hope you're good. It has a kind of, it's got good, strong melodies, isn't it? Strong choruses. You can see why, there's lots of hits on here. And because, there's definitely that kind of, rock, melodic rock sensibility in there, the pop sensibility, to keep it going. Again, it's another 10 out of 10, isn't it? And never a skip from me. Song, absolutely. Continuing the pace and the energy through the first three songs. Andrew.
Cheers, mate. And some good scores, obviously. Helene giving it 10 as well. It has to be. Got to be 10. It's kind of telling the story of this album for me. How's Bells? You got Shoot the Thrill, Way to Kill, and then you got What Do You Do for? It's like it's having a conversation, kinda, for me. If you look at the titles and you look at some of the lyrics, and I think that's deliberate too. The way that they've worked these songs out, and we'll probably talk about that as the tracks progress. But you've got another brilliant power chord intro riff, and there's nothing difficult about playing a lot of these intro riffs, Brad and Simon. They've, as you said, Brad, they stick to the power chord intros, and that's the hook on this track from Brian. You get some grit on his vocals on the verses, which I really like. A bit of contrast for Brian, and then he explodes in the chorus with that voice that we expect, and it's just a blur of excitement when you listen to him sing. And I love the outro. It's kind of bluesy, and we get a hint of that a little bit here on this song, and strong doses of it later on. I'll give this a Brad score. Always loved the track. And Simon, I'm going to repeat after you. It's never a skip.
No.
Hey, Quentin. Brad.
Yeah. Well, we've gone from what do you do for your money, honey, to giving the dog a bone.
You got it. There's a story there.
Yeah, like you said, the lyrical content, it's quite quirky in some aspects, and this is a very cheeky, swaggering rocker. This riff that hangs a little bit behind the beat, gives a little bit of sleaze to it, and sort of fits in with the title of the song. Malcolm's rhythm tone is king on this song. It's all bark. There's no mud to it. It's hitting you right in the ribs. The solo on this one is stinging. It's nasty. It's not overplayed. It's not too long of a solo. It's perfectly in context of the song. The kick drum drives this one, drives the swing. Cliff supports, on the bass without overthinking. There's a lot going on here. Brian Johnson's growl on every line, he really sort of comes across like a bit of a street brawler in this one, and he's got some real swagger on this. It's a kick-ass song, and you're talking like this is the fourth track in, so there's no rest here. You're getting smacked across the cheeks every song. You're going for it. You know what I mean? But this one's got a little tough growl to it as well.
Yep.
I have to give this one 10 out of 10, guys. Never a skip. Simon.
You got it.
Where's the acoustic? It's time around
What
the acoustic. What a bloody acoustic. Yes.
It's AC/DC, mate. They don't even know what an acoustic is.
Yeah.
There's no mandolin. There's no mandolin on this. No 12-string guitars on here, Simon.
Nonsense here. It's a turn down the Marshall to 7. How much more acoustic do you want it to be?
There's no piano. There's no keyboards. There's nothing. It's just meat and potatoes. That's what you get. Nuts and bolts.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes. It's all killer and no filler, isn't it? It's absolutely that sums it up perfectly. It's again, as I'm starting to pick up the kind of the way that they constructed these things, and I'm sure it's that again you got a verse and you got a pre-chorus this time in this one, so sneaking in something extra to pre-chorus with the call and response with the backing vocals, so very chanty sort of blokey backing vocals. Then you've got a guitar pre-verse, that's between the first verse and the second verse. They do that again on this one. Again, a very rock and roll solo, isn't it? Very kind of Chuck Berry sort of influenced thing. A stop at 2:30, absolutely stop. Then another verse and choruses to end. So, very short with Angus sort of doing some soloing underneath the choruses at the end. It's they're starting to. I feel like they've got this formula about the way they're constructing the songs and sticking to it. And they've got the songs to back it up, really. but you're right. It is all, I was jokingly, it is all of a piece, isn't it? I mean, the sound of one track goes into the sound of the next track, and you're basing it on how strong the riff is, how strong, the band is in playing that song, for rather than the diversity thing. And the one thing we can say about this song is it's not a huge amount of diversity on it in terms of instrumentation stuff, but that's fine. It's all of a piece. What a piece, they managed to conjure up, and I'm sure that Q was saying earlier, asking how do you think Mutt handled Angus and Mal? I think he just got the performances out of them. Q. I think he just, they turned up with the songs, and he probably had some say in, what songs they did. I don't know if there are any extra ones, but what songs, and then it's a question of getting the performance, isn't it? So that it all fits together. It's got that groove. It's got the all the parts are in their place, and then you play them, and I think that's where his where his skills would have come in. Jolly old Mutt, you absolutely would have been doing that. So, but again, 10 out of 10, never a skip. Absolutely, it's I can remember driving up the motorway. It's and you're just going, wow, another, it's another complete hit coming along. Any one of these could have been hits, but yeah, 10 out of 10 for me, never a skip. Andrew.
I'm just going to Google what Quentin has said, because I do remember reading somewhere that Back in Black is one of the highest grossing record. I think it's in the top 3 or 4 records sold ever.
Yeah.
I had 50 mil, but 70 mil could be even closer.
You definitely in the top 3 albums sold ever. So yeah, and so, rightly so.
Yeah. No, it could easily be Q. I think it's in a lot of places it's quite difficult to count, isn't it? What they got, but they certainly it says it.
Yeah, certainly in Latin America, where it's had a huge following for 30 years.
Yes, I know in the Wikipedia entry, it's got 21st of August 2024, the album was certified 27 platinum, denoting 27 million American sales. So that's just America, it's sold 27 million copies. So I could easily believe it would be more than the 50 million copies sold worldwide.
So John's Googled Thriller, Eagles, Back in Black. Yeah, he's right. And yeah. So it's in the top 3. Thank you, John. And well deserved. Giving the dog a bone. Smart lyrics, aren't they? They're great lyric writers, these guys, and you have to be when you're in a rock band, because you're talking about primal things. You're talking about normal everyday life, getting up, going to work, and then giving the dog a bone, which are really, really important things. And in the lives of ordinary people. That 2-minute guitar solo is incredible, isn't it? And Brad, I've made a comment here about the power, the muscular energy that Brian gives off on this track. You've mentioned that, he's got this brawler persona coming through. I hear that, the power and the muscular energy from him cascades from the speakers, your woofers or whatever you listen to, your tweeters, your little AirPods that you listen to. You can hear it all. I just think it's an incredible track. I love it. And I too have given this a Brad score. Just the power is immense.
Yeah.
Giving the dog a bone. Giving the dog a bone. Giving the dog. Okay, anyway, Brad.
Careful now. Careful.
I forgot to mention. I forgot to mention. I love the call and response vocal. The give him the dagger ball. Give him the dagger ball. Anyway, so I think we'll do this song, guys, and maybe show some photos, Andrew, after this track. What do you think?
Yeah, side one, end of side one.
Cheers.
All right. So let me put my love into you. There's a theme running here now, as you can tell. So
Yeah, baby.
Yes. This is a very underrated track, in my opinion. It's got a darker bluesy sort of vibe to it. This is
It's got some mojo, bro.
it's got some mojo and mystical stuff going on with this one. I'll put beautiful chord voicings. Malcolm's playing on it is outstanding, as is Angus's. There's a lot of emotion in the solo in this one by Angus. He's not going for a fast solo. He's going for more emotion, but there's a few little flutters in there that are fantastic. Stinging solo I've put here. The bass and drums, it's pulsing, it's hypnotic. Rudd is masterful. That's what I've put here as my notes. Phil Rudd, massive influence to a lot of drummers. You got it. What can I say about Phil Rudd? He's really showing what he's worth up to this point. And Brian Johnson's vocals, he's roaring again. He's showing a little bit of softness in spots here, which is cool. But we've got a new singer, baby, and he can sing. They're really pushing him on this album, and he's done a fantastic vocal on this song as well. Guys, this album's been very easy to rank. It's been hard to give anything less than a 10 out of 10. So I'm giving this a 10 out of 10 and never a skip, guys. Simon.
Yep. You got it, bro.
I might give this a 9.5 just for just to break it up.
Oh.
He's gone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's funny.
I only said I thought I might just to break it up.
Okay.
Just
Sorry. I just heard 9.5. That's all I heard.
Just just create some shock waves. The program. He's giving it a 9.5. Look at that. Boom. 4. Yes.
Palpitations here.
Yes. So yes. One slightly feels that scoring is a bit superfluous to this, but if you don't know it by now and you haven't gone to check it out, it's it's funny. Again, this is the end of side one. It's got that sort of cheeky lyrical content that you boys have pointed out. Slow rhythm guitar to start with, joined by the second guitar, again meshing those two guitars together. Some bit of solo guitar at the beginning this time, so it's and you in the verse, the third line has a second guitar comes in on the third line. So again, the sort of you've got the subtleties of the differences in these tracks is quite you've got to listen carefully to pick them out. And but they are doing it. They are changing it around and doing various bits and pieces to keep things interesting. And I think even if you only notice them subliminally, they're still there. Again, you've got a pre-chorus this time and a chorus, and then that kind of. But actually, they do like the intro part again. But nevertheless, they do that little guitar piece after the end of the first chorus, which they don't do again. I don't think, Brad, you pick me up if they do it somewhere else. But I was getting this thing about, oh look, they keep doing this little bit after the end of the first chorus. Again, they've got the chorus with the backing vocals, very tight, organized solo, a nice pentatonic solo with a nice bend to start with that coming in, but again keeping it tight, keeping it focused, keeping it energy up, and at the end you've got sort of chorus with solo guitar you know, at the end, Angus is playing underneath Brian when he's singing, and the starting riff to end as a circle thing. Yeah, as I say, 9.5 out of 10 to keep it interesting, but really 10 out of 10. Never a skip. Andrew.
Ooh.
Look at that, he's in shock.
I just took a deep breath just to get over that score.
Oh, stop it.
Let me put my love into you. Well, what can I say? It's just got a pounding rhythm, hasn't it, Brad and Simon? Just
A thumping beat.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of stick from John in this chat.
Yeah, you're right. It's thrashing. It's a thrashing. It's given. Yeah, it's got. Actually, Simon, this is where you've got your contrast. You spoke about, you know, you missed your mandolins and your 12-string guitars. You know that because you're such a stickler for, you know, Led Zeppelin. You thought, you know, maybe I'm going to get some. I'm going to get no. This is your contrast on the side. So and the reality is, it is there. You know, it's a little bit slower. It's fantastic, and I love that. I love the contrast on this. Brian's a force of nature, isn't he? You know, and he just, again, you know, if you thought that Brian's vocals were powerful when we had the rocking tracks, you know, when they've just brought it back a beat, he just takes over this with that commanding vocal power he has. The mischievous lyrics adds to it as well, you know. It's just an incredible part of storytelling and singing songs, being able to, you know, have different meanings. And Simon, you mentioned it earlier, I think when we were talking about the second track, you know, it goes back to the blues. You know, the blues were full of it, you know, of you know, squeezing lemons and things like that, you know.
Don't know what you mean.
Yeah, well...
Well, to make lemonade, of course, that's it. Yes.
Well, I think you've had your lemon squeezed.
It was always a painful experience.
Oh. Look, I've given this a 10 out of 10 as well too. It's incredible. So had a bit of fun, haven't we? So we've got some picks here. Brad flicked over a couple of picks, and we've got just give me a second, guys, while I navigate this here. Please give me a second. Right. Okay. So here we go. So here's a pick of the guitars, you know, that they are famous for, generally speaking. I think the key that Brad mentioned here for you guys to sort of remember with Malcolm's guitar is while he was using a Gretsch, a white Falcon, the pickup that's in this Gretsch is the key. That Gretsch pickup, Brad, that's what he loved. And that's what he spoke about many times, didn't he? That's what he loved. So I'll just get rid of that comment. Hey, Tony.
Yeah, morning, Tony.
And the SG too. And one of the reasons why, again, if you guys don't realize why Angus liked the SG. Again, he talks about that as the horns. Love the horns.
Yeah,
and so
the
there's
horns.
a thing. Yeah, you know, that was the aesthetic that he went for. But obviously the humbuckers, Brad and Simon, key to any rock and roll sound.
Yeah.
This is the band at night. Sorry, Simon.
I was going to say also, he's not the biggest bloke, Angus Young, isn't he? You know, and,
5'5".
An SG is a light guitar. I think that's from a purely practical point of view, it's probably an excellent choice for somebody who's 5'5".
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, he's lumbering around a £10 Les Paul for 2 hours, probably not much fun. You know,
That's right.
swinging around a £6 SG, probably a lot better of an idea, to be honest.
Mm.
So I think there's a practicality in that as well.
So Brad, you mentioned earlier about Malcolm and Angus and their relationship. From what I've read over the years, I've got a biography here that I haven't dived into, but these guys would play when they were young, literally for hours. Brad and
Yeah.
Simon,
Yeah.
for hours, or
Yeah.
not just for half an hour. Yeah, hours.
Do you reckon that they used to sit there and Angus would always wear his school uniform with his socks pulled up as well, or not?
Good call, bro. Good call.
Sorry, I had to do that.
You had to do it, absolutely.
So Brad mentioned that they were using super leads. There's also, this is not a super lead, but this is a JTM 50, JTM 50 that they were using too. So, it gave him the ability to tone it down a bit, but still get that important tone that he needed through this machine here that Brad described in his intro. So there it is there, and there's YouTube clips where he talks about that.
Yep.
And nobody knew what that was until Angus sort of came out. But here's some information here. So can you read that, Simon? Can you see that?
Yep, I can see it on my phone. So so do you want me to read it?
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah, many people say Angus doesn't use effects, and I wouldn't argue with that statement. However, Angus does have one very specific piece of gear that has been dubbed the secret source of his tone. The Schaefer Vega Diversity System, SVDS, was the first wireless unit for guitars, and it's been the secret to Angus's tone since he got the unit shortly after they came out in '75. Today, we would not consider a wireless unit an effect, but the SVDS unit contained a preamp along with some very sophisticated audio processing circuitry. For more information on exactly what the SVDS does, you could check out my interview with the inventor Ken Schaefer here. There we are.
Yeah, so Brad discussed that in his intro, but if you are keen on why Angus's tone is so unique, go and Google those. And if I remember, I might even just attach that interview here, Brad and Simon, for somebody if they're interested, if you're watching on replay.
Defo.
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely.
Long hair, Brad.
Yeah. Long hair. That's a pretty scruffy looking band, really, when you think about it. Aren't they? They look like they take no shit. They don't look like, hey, you don't want to mess with that guy on the right, the far right with the Brian. He looks like he'd brawl you.
I reckon he would. Being a Geordie, I reckon he would.
Yeah, I reckon he'd fix you. He wouldn't go down without a fight. Let's put it that way.
Good Geordie boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is from the Hells Bells video. Again, go and check it out. There's that White Falcon that Brad was talking about that Malcolm loved, but it just got too big for him, as I understand, and that's why he liked that Geo Jet or whatever. Brad was just a little bit easier for him to hold.
Yeah.
What I particularly like is Phil Rudd's got an enormous kit. Does he use any of that kit at all? And it's all for show. Well done. I think that's fantastic.
And that's the album cover.
I hope it is.
One of the best album covers ever.
Yeah, well, I think Metallica nicked that idea for their Black album as well.
Well,
Although their Black album is all black. But I will say this: Phil Rudd was a big influence on Lars Ulrich for that album. So,
You got it, brother.
Yeah,
You got it.
you can hear it, in the way that he used to play fairly straight. Although Lars isn't a straight player like Phil, but yeah, great album.
Johnny come latelys.
Yeah,
I remember watching an interview when Lars was saying, that what he learnt from Phil Rudd, and this is early on. So this is back, and what he used to do. You know how we just spoke about how Angus and Malcolm would get together and play for hours, together and just jamming. So what Lars would do is he would just get his drums set up and he would just play literally for 4 hours, Brad. Because that's what Rudd did.
Yeah. There's some really cool stuff, Brian Johnson talking about Phil Rudd. Go and look it up on YouTube. There's some little funny things about what Phil Rudd used to have a picture on. I won't spoil it. Go and look up. There's some fantastic stuff there. I won't spoil it. Go and look it up. It's very funny. The picture he had on his drum kit on the wall next to his drum kit off his hi-hat stand or something for inspiration. Go and look at that one. That's funny. So we're up to side 2, guys, and I'm being mindful of time here because I know Andrew's got a little puppy to go and walk, but so we'll get straight into it. Back in Black. Should I say any more? Do I need to talk about this song? It's a phenomenal song.
It has 3 out of 10. Always a skip.
It's one of their most famous riffs, and it's one of the most famous rock and roll riffs in history, I would say. The syncopation, the space, it's lethal. The rhythm section is like a brick wall in this song. It's tough. It's relentless. It keeps going. Malcolm, his right hand is phenomenal. He's everything in this song. Angus, they're so locked in together, Malcolm and Angus. Angus is solo. He mixes his pentatonics with some lightning fast pull-offs. The drums, Phil's snare is the thunder in this song. Cliff mirrors the riff. He's got a really good knack for playing straight or pulling the riff at the exact perfect time to make it sound intense. Brian Johnson sounds like a man possessed on this one. He's got a lot of attitude in this song. His vocals are outstanding on this song, and I have to say, I think this is the highlight for me vocally on the album. I think it's remarkable vocal on this song. I've played in bands. I've played this song many times. There's one singer I've played with that could do it, but still nowhere near to what Brian Johnson did back on this record. And I don't even think Brian could even attempt to do it right now. Rightfully so. He's an older man, but I bet you he listens to this song and goes, "Wow, what I was doing there was not human." So I have to give this one 100 out of 10, guys. It's an absolute classic. For me, the whole song, from the vocals, guitars, bass, and drums, it's a perfect rock song. Simon.
Agreed. Yes, it's it's got that stunted guitar thing to bring in, doesn't it? That 2 on the drums, and then the guitars in with that classic 2-part riff that they play together. It's just and known the world over. It's it's not much you can say really. It's got the first chorus, then it does the start riff. It's got that tight solo that Angus does. Again, I noted 3 parts on the different parts of the neck, starting down low and moving himself up, and then you've got a chorus. Then you've got a sort of double speed guitar solo. The second one is kind of double speed, much faster playing, and again a solo to to the end, to the fade out bit. An absolute classic. It's apparently they said to him that the band said to him, write something positive about Bon Scott. So Brian said, like, no pressure then. So he did, and it turned into an absolute classic. So I'm giving this 1,261 out of 10.
Is that a Simon score?
Yeah. I got a random score generator here. That's more than 10, and then this time it's going with 1,262. So
well, you're gonna have to remember that now.
I'm right. Don't worry, I've got it written down. Andrew, over to you. Sorry, it's getting crazy now. Apologies.
No, good bit of fun. And Helene's right. At some stage, you want to go and learn to play this riff. But you guys have said it all. It's one of the classic rock riffs ever. And Simon, you've described it adequately. With that rim shot. And it just, you know what you're going to get. It's like the cowbell, to Honky Tonk Woman. It's when you hear it. Years later, you know what it is, and I just blows me away. The excitement that I had when I first heard it, and when I hear it now on radio, it's just amazing. One of the tribute songs on the album, directly attributed to Bon Scott, guys, as I understand. And Brad, you mentioned it before. It's powerful. The vocals, that riff. I have to. I've made a note here, and it's echoing what you said when you ranked the second track. There's a formula here, and the formula varies. But it's maintaining that drive and that emphasis. That the band has musically. And that's not easy to do. And, you get in it. This is the first track on side 2. So Simon also, likes to remind folks, back in 1980, you were turning this album over. So, there was an emphasis on that, on the side 2 track, Brad, that sometimes doesn't mean anything now on a Spotify song list. Right. That side opener.
It's like a reset, isn't it? It's like you reset. So you have to get up, take it off, turn it over. You kind of reset your whole kind of listening thing. Sit back down. In a sense, you start again, don't you? In a way that you don't do if it's on a CD or on a Spotify playlist. I think that's a good point, Andrew. Really.
Yeah, and just imagine though, if you're listening to this for the first time ever. Now in 2025 or back in 1980 when you've done that, it's like, wow, hats off to Mutt, for having the power and the drive. There was a question asked earlier about whether or not Bon would have been able to handle direction from the production people doing this album. I don't think so. But Brian, as the vocalist coming in, guys, was a musician. He had, trained musician and a professional, Brad and Simon, for a long time. Worked in studios and quite easily took direction because we mentioned, that he changed his whole orientation to how he performs vocals, for the success of the band. So, and you're getting that on this track. So I have to agree with Simon. It's a Simon score.
Oh goodness! Now we've got so many scores to remember.
I'm sorry, you don't have to remember mine. I'm just
1,264.
62, Andrew.
62. Two more.
Yeah. I undersold the Rock Professor score. Sorry.
That's right. So the next track, gentlemen, is You Shook Me All Night Long. And in all honesty, I had to put the fact that I probably played this 1,000,001 times in a band on stage to a crowd. I had to put that aside and listen to it as I was trying to imagine I was listening to it for the first time, because the song frustrates me a lot in the sense that it's overdone, overplayed for me. It's the one that always gets played on the radio. It's the one that always gets played by every cover band, including the one I'm in. But I put that aside for the ranking, which is what we try and do here anyway. I think it's their most universal song. It's got a mix of everything in it. It's even got a little bit of a country vibe to it in a rock drive, if that makes sense. It's got that sort of feel to it. It's a cheeky lyric, most memorable melody of a rock song ever, in my opinion. The guitars are crunchy. They're clean crunch. Then there's not a lot of distortion, or it's just natural amp crunch, which I love. I love the two guitars when they join each other in the intro of the song, when the second guitar comes in. Sounds phenomenal. The solo is melodic, instantly memorable. I'll put here. You can almost sing the solo, and when you can sing it with your voice and hum it, you know it's a good, memorable solo, in my opinion. Very tight drumming. The groove's immaculate on this one. Brian Johnson, you know, it's his storytelling sort of vibe in this most charismatic song on the album. I don't necessarily like the song anymore, but it's such a great song that I put that aside, and I'm giving it 100 out of 10 and never skip.
Give it a 3 out of 10 and skip.
No, because we have to put
no, I agree.
We have to put aside those things. It's like if someone asked me to rank Sweet Child of Mine, I've played it every single gig I've ever done. I'm tired of the song, but I love the song, and it because of, you know, I have to put that aside because it's not fair to rank the song with a worn out feeling towards it. I can't stand listening to the song anymore, but I love the song enough to give it 100 out of 10 because it deserves it. Never a skip.
Yeah.
Simon.
I think you can give it 100 out of 10 and always a skip, to be honest. I think that's perfectly understandable. You know, it's a bit like when we discussed this earlier, you know, bands, you know, and they must have played it a million times, you know, maybe even more than you. And, you know, and I wonder how they feel about it, you know, really.
They probably loathe playing it now, Simon, but it's, you know, there's most bands that have a big hit. They have a love-hate.
Haven't you?
They have a love-hate relationship with the song. They love it sometimes. They hate it sometimes. But I'm not dissing the song. I think it's a remarkable song, and that's why I gave it 100 out of 10. It's just overdone for me, but it's one of those songs that you have to give it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a bit like songs that never off the radio, isn't it? It's like, yeah, right. You know, I mean, but that's the difficulty of radio, is that they only play certain things, don't they? It's you know, you can only play certain things. But anyway, I mean, yes, I mean you're right. This is a classic, isn't it? An absolute, you know, bona fide. Yeah, if you're going to hear an AC/DC song, I heard it on the radio a couple of times, you know, this week at least. You know, on Greatest Hits Radio, it's absolutely still being played out there with that classic chimey D chords, you know, intro, you know, into the sort of, you know, that opening 3 chords thing that they do. They do better than everyone else. Yeah. And then Brian Johnson comes in a very odd place, doesn't he? It's very odd. I don't know how your singer counts it, Brad, but you give him a nod as to when to come in, him or her. I don't know. Yeah. Again, chorus with second guitar. The verse is one guitar, I think, you know, just playing thing. Again, they don't overcomplicate it. You know, it only needs one guitar playing the 3 chords in the verse. That's all we're having. Chorus, backing vocals again with 2 guitars. Classic solo with that bend up into it, you know, to start with. And again, that using the neck in 3 different places to play 4 bars each. That definitely does it on here. And jolly old chorusing to the end. And yeah, completely absolute classic. You know, it's a Brad score, huge score. You know, I haven't played it a million times, so I'm in a different position. But yeah, you know, whatever score you'd like, and never a skip. Yeah, it's fantastic. Andrew.
Yeah, I've listened to it a million times, and I've made a note too. It's the song here that the normies know. It's the song that you know,
Normies.
yeah, that you know that you could play this album at parties, and we certainly did over the years. But you know, this was definitely one song that you know everybody would get up and you know, have a boogie to. You know, Simon, you made a description there about that the intro chords. You know, just a G and a D, I think. You know, and it's G and a D, Brad. G and a D, the intro.
There's a D, there's a G.
It's a D with a
yeah
put on, isn't it?
A,
G.
yeah, D, yeah.
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 Yeah. You know, it's just, you know, another definitive AC/DC riff, you know, and you know,
Brad's
grab
played
the
it a
axe.
million times, but he's no idea how
Yeah.
to play it.
It's
Come on.
G, C, G, C, D. I'm not going to play
That's
it because it'll flag it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
just
yeah.
play the intro. Just play the first chord.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. 3 chords, and
Don't-
you know, 3 chords and the truth.
3 chords and the truth. Yeah.
I love the double tracking that you've got at the chorus with the chorus harmonies. I'm assuming it's double tracking there. I'm assuming it's I don't know. Who else would be singing the vocals with the
Well, I think that
no.
Malcolm and Malcolm does a bit of backing vocals, doesn't he? I don't know whether
Okay.
Cliff Williams does as well. But
Yeah, I think they do BVs. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if they overdub some vocals here and there because they obviously worked Brian quite hard.
let's see.
But I would suggest that the music was done pretty much live.
okay.
Yeah. According to the Wikipedia, Malcolm Young is backing vocals and Cliff Williams does backing vocals as well.
Okay.
So I guess
okay.
those two are the backing vocals blokes.
Yeah, and I love that because you know you can definitely hear those backing vocals on this track. Incredible solo, and there's also a strong emphasis on the snare drum on this track that's really apparent to me too as well. So more than you know previous tracks. So again. You know, I've said it before at the start, you know, it's a perfect album. And I can't give this anything other than a Brad score because I've heard it a million times. I may not have played it a million times, but I've heard it a million times.
I think it's probably one of the most played songs for this band on radio. It would have to be. It would definitely be right up there with the most played song on radio for them. I loved your comment. Yeah, I loved your comment about a song for the normies because, you know, whenever we play gigs, whenever you start losing the crowd trying to play something, you know, that the band would suggest is a clever choice of song and it loses them, and then we play this song and it pulls everyone back in. That whether they're bogans, they're norms, or whether they're rockers, doesn't matter. They all join hands and they sing along.
Kumbaya style.
They don't join hands. They put the fist in the air and they sing the chorus.
And they are a Sydney band too, Tony, if you're still here. They're not a Melbourne band. And in fact, a lot of fans in Australia and around the world were really pissed off because the home that the Angus and Malcolm was born in was demolished. And people were saying that it should have been preserved.
Well, I mean, you look at, say, the Beatles, you know, you go live through Liverpool, their homes are preserved. And that's the terrible thing about Australian government. I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah.
We've got really no history in this country that they preserve. They're happy to let it go. and musically, things like venues and whatnot just keep getting torn down and demolished, and heritage buildings getting destroyed because they're not music venues anymore, and losing, like, that's a tourist attraction for Americans. Anyone that want to go look at the history of AC/DC, they could have made that. I agree, that was disgusting that they tore it down. But anyway,
and they did it. They did it dirtily, because I followed that. They hid that so that they couldn't protest about it. Because could you imagine if they bowled Graceland, Simon?
Yeah.
Just imagine.
Oh God, the Americans would never allow that sort of thing to happen, would they? It'd be all about it.
Well, Simon, the one thing that I loved about, when I came across to, say, London and so England, was they preserved their history so well, and I hope that they continue to do so with everything that's going on over there. But that Australia does not do that, and has never done that, and it's disgusting that they don't preserve their history. But I won't go on about it because we're not being political on this channel. And
no, we don't do it in this country either. But if you're a Maori and you say something's got a Maori connection, they won't touch it.
Yeah, it's quite upsetting when they do things like that. But anyway, back to the album. We've got a few more tracks to rank, and Have a Drink on Me. That whole album has got that full-on rock and roll, drinking, booze, girls, rock. It's got that whole vibe to it. And what you do after you've had a few drinks. So Have a Drink on Me. Ironically, it's a drinking anthem after the death of Bon Scott. I don't know whether that was intentional or not. They just decided to write a song called Have a Drink on Me. It's a blues shuffle meets heavy rock.
You got it.
The riff feels like music that's set to a bar fight in a movie to me. That's like, you could picture this. You could picture this to a bar fight movie in a movie. It'd be perfect for it. It's got a tough feel to the song. The guitars are really tight. They sound incredible. There's little gain. It's all volume. The solo is gritty. It's got that dangerous feel to it that Angus has. It's a great blues on steroids vocal as well from Brian Johnson. And guys, I had to give it 10 out of 10 and never a skip. Simon.
Yeah, absolutely. It has that kind of bluesy feel, doesn't it? It very much bringing that into the mix. Again, just the verse, just a guitar, bass, drums, just pretty much one put, and then with the chorus, and you've got again that guitar interlude where he does a bit after the first chorus, but not later on. The classic, get stoned, says Brian, to Angus to get him started on things. And again, Angus is starting low down on the neck, and then moving up, in those kind of 4-bar increments that he uses. And you've got the chorus to the end with the solo guitar underneath the vocals, which again, one of the signature moves on this album. It's again a bit of a different song. I mean, with that more bluesy feel. 10 out of 10 from me. Never a skip. As I say, there's sort of the subtleties of the changes on here, but definitely enough of a change to be noticed. So yeah, 10 out of 10 from me. Never a skip. Andrew.
10 out of 10 from Ellen as well. Again, Simon, I'm not giving you grief when I say this, but this is your contrast. This is a contrast song. And Brad, you've mentioned it. Blues inspired intro. So I remember having this conversation with guys not long after this album came out, having that conversation with guys saying, no, it's these guys are rockers. These guys, and I said, well, where does rock come from? Oh, well, not from the blues. Okay, go away. Because
Led Zeppelin, they never did any blues stuff, did they?
Yeah. Go away. True story. But yeah, you know, it's that contrast, you know, that you love. You know, I agree with you. It's definitely one of those really, really cool songs. If you played this album at parties, you know, it was always one that people would, you know, raise their glasses to, have a drink on me. You know, it's great. You know, it's a Brad. It's a party song. You know, and you know, I, boy, you know, when I was drinking, boy, man, you know, we had just. You know, this is one that you'd scull when this song came on. It wasn't just like a drink; it was the whole bottle, Brad. Yeah,
Sounds terrifying, doesn't it? Mr. Walton
Now-
on one.
now it does. Now it does.
Yeah.
But jeepers, shit, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, like it was no problem. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
It was only later that it became a problem.
Yeah. 10 out of 10. Great song, party song. And as Brad said, you know, blues inspired. Love that. Love the fact that these guys can slow it down and bring a bit of a contrast. Brad.
Yeah. So next track, second last track on the album, is called Shake a Leg. And boy, it makes you shake a leg, this one for sure. It's fast, it's fiery, it's got a punkish energy to it, but in AC/DC style, you know, it's got this one's got a really different snare sound. It's very plunky compared to previous songs. It's got a bit of a plunk to it. I don't know if that was purpose or whether it was just they went in the studio and it wasn't tuned and they just went for it. Yeah.
Is he tuned it down a bit? I think.
No,
tuned...
it's got a plunkiness to it that I can't describe, but I like the sound, but it's very unique. That's why it sticks out. It's different to the rest of the album so far. It's got a tough syncopated section. It's got the doubled guitars and bass that you know, they're doubled together. So the bass in this one actually doubles the riff instead of playing the root note. And this is Angus running wild. He's going for it. The guitars there's some palm muted verse riff going on, explosive chorus guitars. The solo is, you know, very much Angus pulling all the tricks he knows into one sort of solo, in my opinion. All his stylings are in there. It's great. It's a bit of a cross pollination of blues and all of his little quirky things that he would do on guitar, which is great. I think drumming, Phil Rudd, you know, he's like a train at full speed on this one. And Brian Johnson, you know, I've been repeating myself a lot. Incredible vocals, and yeah, guys, guess it. 10 out of 10. Never a skip. And
you got it.
Nice track, Simon.
You got it.
It's interesting, isn't it? You've got the sort of more bluesy kind of change in "Have a Drink on Me," and again, "Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution." We'll get on to is more in that, and then you've got "Shake a Leg," which kind of is the filling in the sandwich of those two slightly different tracks. Whereas this is much more in keeping what a lot of the other tracks are on here. That kind of brisk pace. You know, again, the kind of, you know, get the riff and the verse chorus, the chorus with the backing vocals. You know, again, the sort of, you know, Malcolm and Cliff doing their sort of terrace backing vocals. Very much in keeping with what this record is. You know, plain, organised, and again, as you said, Brad, that the solo, you know, divided into 4 parts is you know, is Angus in a bottle, isn't it? You know, this is what you do if you're Angus Young. You start here and you do this, then you go here and do this, then you go here, and then you go here. You know, it's you know, that 4 parts. It's you know, keeping the energy up, and great riff as well. You know, and great performances. You know, again, you know, Cliff and Phil. You know, the unsung rhythm section, but you know, it's one of those things, isn't it? It sounds really easy. It's a bit like we used to say status quo here. It's really easy to play status quo. He bloody isn't.
No.
Let's try playing status quo and find out just how difficult it is.
Yeah.
It's sort of deceptively difficult, and I think this is the same. It sounds like it could be really easy, but actually, to make it really tight, really focused, is really difficult. It's much more difficult than you think it is.
100%. Yeah.
And I think that all credit to them for keeping it going. 10 out of 10 from me, and never a skip. It's absolutely in keeping the rest of the records, and the second last track is as strong as lots of the other ones. So that's really good. Andrew.
Cheers, guys. I've really enjoyed talking to you guys about this album. When you consider the track that's coming after this track, you understand why you've got this track before it. That high energy slugfest, Brad. That Geordie attitude. And you and I have mentioned it a couple of times. Brian with his hat pulled down, and that curly hair that he's got. Simon, and he's drinking some Newcastle brown ale. And he's getting out there, and and he's giving it to you. That's what I get when I hear this song. And you also mentioned it too, Brad, in the intro. And I've got a note here. If you go and watch the videos of Angus, he likes to spin around and do that Catherine wheel spinning around. You also, you kind of envisage that he's doing that on this. Probably not, but it's that image.
Probably. Can I just intervene and interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
We call it the blowfly here in Australia.
Oh, the blowfly. Okay, all right, the blowfly. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
And that takes incredible skill.
Yeah.
You go and watch those videos of him playing like that, and also shaking his head, and he's got the guitar up here high, and he's running around all over the place, stomping. And he never misses a beat, hardly.
No.
That's because it's really easy to do.
Oh, good point.
No.
Good point.
It's not at all.
But I've also loved gritty vocals from Brian on this. The gritty, and you get that contrast. You can sort of he's sort of singing a little bit Simon in the back of the throat. Giving you that growl.
I do it. It's too loud, but
And I just think it's incredible. Look, I've given this a Brad score too. It's just incredible, and it's the perfect song for the next track, Brad.
Yeah. So, guys, we've got to the last track of the album, and it's a big song. Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution, and they're well known for being extremely loud. This band, and when people used to say, we'll hit you up for noise pollution, well, they're saying rock and roll ain't noise pollution. In other words, we're going to play as loud as we like.
Hey, Sporty.
It's a perfect closing track to the album. It's a slower song to the previous one. It's very confident and defiant. This is the band sort of, they're flying their flag and planting it solidly in the ground, saying, we're loud, we're proud. And, it's loose. The solo's got a real tasteful bluesy feel to it. Massive power chords in the song, like the way they're playing them. It's just massive vocals. It sounds like, Brian Johnson's sounds like he's preaching a sermon of rock.
You got it.
Yeah. And without sort of going on and leaving a little bit of room for you gentlemen, I gave it 10 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. Simon.
Yeah, back to that slow kind of bluesy riff, doesn't it? Again, it turns the volume up, and you got the match strike with the cigarette, and then and Brian does that talking intro. Apparently, it's Mutt Lang saying to him, say something over the intro. So he did kind of starts sort of talking about all you middlemen throw away your fancy clothes and stuff. And so it's kind of after Malcolm explained the origin of the song. We were in London at the time, and there were all those problems with the old Marquee Club because it was in a built-up area, and there was all this whole thing about noise pollution in the news, about people playing loud. So that's where it comes from. But that intro is great. With the cigarette and the match, the strike, and the sort of talking bit is, again, gives it a completely different vibe to the other songs. Yep. But again, back to the steady drums. Woo, Phil absolutely underplaying it as ever, and into the two guitar riff. I think it's pretty guitar. Get verse, and kind of that sort of 12-bar shuffle thing that it has, doesn't it? It's sort of, again, we're more into the bluesy territory, which they haven't done on this album. Pre-chorus with this one, and a chorus, and then you're back to the verse with the shuffle, and another set of solos, again done in 4-bar sections. Build up, classic Angus, and chorus to end with solo guitar playing under the vocals. It's a classic way to end it, and and they, as I say, there's quite a lot of differences in this, that bluesy, talking, lots of stuff to as a surprise if you've listened to the rest of the album. 10 out of 10 from me. Never a skip. Absolutely great finisher to an amazing record. I can still remember the thrill I got driving up the motorway listening to it. Turned it over, back to the beginning, start again. Andrew.
Yeah, I've got a similar experience, especially with this album, Simon. But certainly this song, I was on a road trip with a good friend of mine, a guy called Darren, and we just finished playing a rugby game, and we were driving back, and we put this album came, the cassette, and it must have been on side 2, and it came to this, and I remember being blown away because Darren knew the whole lyrics to the song,
Cool.
And he was singing it at the top of his voice. So every time I, hear the song, I think of him, and those times, because that's the power of music, and I just want to acknowledge that. This is a groove rocker, Simon. I'm glad you mentioned the cigarette draw. It's got that authenticity. That you believe is real. And then that little rap start at the beginning. That you've just described. And then Brad mentioned it before. Those power chords, those opening power chords, where they just let the strings ring out. It's just fantastic, Elaine's given it, 1,000 out of 10. It's her classic riff. I think it's a fantastic riff. It's powerful, it's muscular, and it's got that contrast. And Simon, after listening to, the whole album, and remember, again, you and I know this, an album was an experience. It's just not songs. And I've had this conversation again recently with a couple of other people. We're of a vintage where we remember that, that. So if you just imagine you've been listening to this for 40 minutes and you come to this song, Brad, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
What have I listened to? And, with me ranking this track over the last couple of weeks, in my mind, listening to it, I just feel that same way. I think it's a perfect rock album. It's the perfect opening track. And Brad, this is the perfect ending to it. I'm giving, you guys gave it 10s, and that's fine. I'm not giving you shit for it. Please don't think that I'm, but I'm giving this a huge score. I think it's incredible. I love it.
Excellent.
And I adore this album. And Helene, thank you for being on our backs, because this is an album that we've discussed many times live over the last 4 years, that we were going to rank. So I'm glad that we've done it, Brad.
Yeah, it's been great. And for me, I'll just close it off by saying Back in Black probably shouldn't have existed, but it does. I mean, the odds were impossible. You know, the grief was probably overwhelming for them all. The conditions were chaotic. The band was broken. But instead of folding, they, in classic AC/DC, form, they powerful comeback, and they created what I consider to be a blueprint of hard rock.
You got it. You got it. So,
sure.
and I've got. Can I just jump in on top of you?
Yeah.
And I've got that.
Yeah.
I've got that. So this album came out in 1980. I've got a note here, and it was the blueprint for a lot of bands moving forward in the 1980s, and it gave a lot of emphasis to. For example, I mentioned Black Sabbath at the start. This is what gave Black Sabbath a reason to get Ronnie James Dio.
Yes.
The success of this album, and the fact that they could have done something so hugely influential album, Simon.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. But interestingly, still a rock and roll album.
You got it.
Still a rock and roll. It's not
metal,
heavy, is it? It's not metal. It's not heavy metal. It's not. It's none of that. I would say it's much more in keeping with the Rolling Stones than it is Metallica.
Yeah, it's
you got it.
Rock and roll.
I may not be right about that, but that's my feeling about it. Is that the Rolling Stones? AC/DC follows on from the Rolling Stones. Similar, a guitar plugged into an amp, turned up. That's what it is.
And go for it.
And then you go for it. And I think that it's as I said, people bandy around these terms kind of wildly and stuff, and I think most of it is not really that true, and I don't consider AC/DC to be I think they're a rock and roll band. Yeah. They're certainly not a metal band.
No.
Really.
I have to make that very clear that when I was in 1984, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, this was a rock band. It wasn't Iron Maiden or Def Leppard, which were heavy metal. Yeah.
No, they're
definitely pop metal. Really,
rock and roll band, but they were blueprint for what I call hard rock. What considered.
No, I know what you mean, Brad. I absolutely know what you mean. As a thing, but as I say, their lineage is the Rolling Stones.
Yeah,
you got it.
I would say, yeah.
And can I sort of bring up something that we mentioned maybe last one? I know you want to get moving, gentlemen, but Malcolm Young did play lead guitar for a little bit there in the early days in the Dave Evans era, which was the first singer of AC/DC. Malcolm played lead guitar on Can I Sit Next to You Girl, and I think he played not predominant lead solo but he plays alongside Angus on Soul Stripper. He also contributes lead parts to the verses and fills in Little Lover, but I think pretty much after that was predominantly all Angus or the lead guitar. But a little fun fact I found out this week, and I was quite shocked that I never even knew this. Malcolm Young played lead guitar on the 1974 release of Evie by Stevie Wright. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but the part one of the song, Young played the guitar solo in it. So, Malcolm Young was a lead guitarist in his own right, but knowing full well that he's the brilliance behind AC/DC, they knew Angus was his appeal was his playing and the way he played lead guitar. So Malcolm decided to just sit back and let his brother do all the work and just play all the tough parts in the background, and he was happy with that.
100%.
Yeah.
Helene will definitely lock that album in. So, guys, if you want to be prepared for what we're going to be doing next week, I haven't spoken to our co-hosts about this. I'm going to share it with you, everybody now, including the co-host. The 21st of this month, Anthology 4 is being released. So we're going to get together next Sunday. We're not going to rank the tracks, but we're going to get together and we're going to talk about Anthology 4, the tracks, guys.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
we'll have a couple of days to listen to those, and we'll just spend an hour and a half here talking about Anthology 4 and the tracks and the Beatles for an hour and a half. Oh shit! Really?
Really?
Sounds good. Sounds great.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds great.
I'm sorry to put you guys through that. I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's right. It's fine.
damn you, Andrew.
Yeah, we've got a whole week where we can't do anything because it's not been released yet.
Oh,
But
You're killing me.
no, yeah,
That's fine.
we'll listen to what's been released, and we'll get together and and we'll talk about what we've heard. We won't rank it, but if you guys want to give them the new tracks some scores, you're more than welcome to.
yeah. No, well, look,
Yeah, that's
I'm
all
looking
right.
forward to that, and that's going to be a fun one. for
Cool.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bit of a fun track.
So-
Simon, do you want to say goodbye to the fine folks
Yeah, I was
that have
going
been
to
hanging out with
say.
us?
So we're saying thanks to Helene for getting us to do
Incredible.
back that tremendous. We'd only be improved by having a ballad on it.
Some acoustic guitar, Simon.
Acoustic guitar, yeah. I still feel we're missing the acoustic guitar.
Kickers locked in for next year, definitely.
Lovely, and we'll do that. And Ellen as well. Thanks, Ellen, for coming and scoring as well. Tony Bowen, Sporty Otter Pop, great name. Thanks for your contributions as well. Going back up, some bloke called Simon. John ZD351. Good to see you, John. Thanks, mate, for all your comments. Tony, Helene, Jim, just under 50. Good
Jim.
to see you, Jim, and I hope you're well. And, Adam Crofts as well.
Yeah.
Adam.
Adam.
Adam, thanks, Adam, for joining. Q, Guitar Talk Universe. Good to see you, man. I hope you're recovering well from your ops and stuff.
Yeah.
Getting back on the straight and narrow. I know you've been doing YouTube stuff, which is good. Keeping you on the straight and narrow. Gretch Zeppelin, great to see you, Gretch. Thanks for your continued support every week, Gretch. It's
Yes.
really well appreciated by us. The fact that you're turning out in the wee hours. So I think that's probably everyone who made some comments. Hopefully it is. So thanks, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you next week for a bit of a Beatles talk. Fun.
Yeah. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Take it away, boss.
We can
What?
talk about Beatles, and if we get stuck, we can talk maybe about Wings, because I think they're releasing some Wings stuff too, or there's a talk about Wings. So yeah, there's plenty of crossover.
Wings.
Oh yeah.
There's
Blimey, that's all mounting up for next weekend, isn't it, Brad? We've got Anthology and the Wings stuff. Bloody hell.
I think it's only a book or something that's been released. So, but yeah, they're all cashing
No
in.
worries. Take care, everyone. Have a good week. Look after yourselves. We'll see you.